Hello, dear students. I am from J.A.T Art Science and Commerce College. For Women Malegaon Dist-Nashik, I am Dr. D.D. Sawant, Department of Geography. Today's topic, which I have selected, that is a components of biosphere. As we know that if you consider the whole of the biosphere as an ecosystem at global scale, the component of the biosphere and the biospheric ecosystem becomes the same. So, the total physical environment at global scale also contains the same components as though those of the biosphere and the ecosystems. It means that biospheric ecosystem, the biosphere, the ecosystem, and the environment consists of three components. Number one is a inorganic, which is called as a abiotic. Yeah, it is also called as a physical component. Second one, that is a energy component, and third one, that is a biotic, or it is also called as a organic component. So as a ecologists study how organisms interact with their environment at several levels. As ecologists study environmental interactions at several levels, those are organisms, how one kind of organisms meets challenges of environment. For example, adaptation of a climate to extreme temperatures. Second one, that is a population, an interbreeding group of individuals belonging to same species and living in same geographic area. For example, study of growth rate in clumps living near the hydrothermal vent. Community, if we see all the organisms as all populations of different species that inhabited a particular area. For example, all organisms found near the hydrothermal vent more focus on interactions. For example, predator prey. Ecosystem, it includes all life forms in a certain area and all the non-living factors as well. Which are those? Those are abiotic components and biotic components. What is meant by abiotic components? Which are as a non-living components of the ecosystem. For example, temperature, water, air. So first of all, we will see that what abiotic components are. The abiotic, or it is also called as the inorganic or physical components of the biosphere or the ecosystem, represents physical environment of the whole biosphere or part thereof. These components on an average includes the lithosphere, the atmosphere, and the hydrosphere. Generally, these are considered as land and or soil, air and water respectively. If the whole of the biosphere is taken to be an ecosystem at global scale, these three or physical or abiotic components are considered as the subsystems of biospheric systems. Number one, that is a lithospheric components. It is an important component of the biosphere. The lithospheric components consist of elements, for example, iron, nickel, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, carbon, etc. Minerals, which are those are hematite, dolomite, feldspar, etc. Rocks and soils, As a various types of rocks, those are igneous, sedimentary, metamorphic, and their subtypes, if you see the soils, which are those are podzols, latosols, alluvia, loam, etc. Micro landforms. So landform is not a plane. So various types of landforms which are seen on this earth surface, those are relief features of third order, which are erosional landforms, V-shaped valleys, U-shaped valleys, sea cliff, rock cut platforms, etc. Depositional landforms, if you will see that sand dunes are there, deltas, scars, sea beaches, etc. Meso landforms, if you will see, those are relief features of second order. For example, landforms evolved due to endogenetic forces like mountains, plains, plateaus, faults, etc. And macro landforms, which are seen, those are a relief features of first order. For example, those are a continents. So the lithosphere accounts for about 29% of the total surface area of the globe. The landforms of various sizes, as mentioned above, provide a variety of habitats for the plants and animals. Thus, it is necessary to study the main characteristics of the lithospheric components and all the physical processes, whether exogenetic or endogenetic, which affect the lithosphere, the surface of the earth. The geological cycle involving a set of processes and subcycles, for example, tectonic cycle, rock cycle, geochemical cycle, water cycle, etc., is responsible for the creation, maintenance, changes, or destruction of the materials of the earth. For example, elements, mineral rocks, soil, water, and the landform assemblage. So the abiotic that we have seen, abiotic biotic component, those are a living components of the biological community. For example, competitions, prediction. So the biosphere is the total of all of the Earth's ecosystem. Biosphere is the global ecosystem, sum of all the planet's ecosystem, most complex level in ecology. Features of biosphere that we have seen that itself contain except deriving energy for photosynthesizers from sunlight. Spatially, for example, distribution of continents and oceans. As a 71% of the land which is covered by the ocean and 29% of the land which is covered by the continent, which is the landform. Physical and chemical factors influence the life in the biosphere. As we know that solar energy powers nearly all terrestrial and shallow water ecosystem. For example, for photosynthesis it is required, so solar energy is very important. Second one, that is water is essential to all life. Without water no one can live. For example, organisms have ways of preventing drying out in terrestrial ecosystem. Number third, that is a temperature. Temperature, which is very important effect on metabolism. For example, adaptations to live outside the normal body temperature resistant enzymes. Wind reason for patchiness in ecosystems. Number last one, that is a other abiotic factors. Those are soil structure, pH, nutrient, unpredictable disturbances. Those are fire, hurricanes, etc. Now this is the clip which is in front of you, that organisms are adapted to abiotic and biotic factors by natural selections. As organisms' ability to survive, everyone it requires survive on others, so and reproduce in a particular environment is a result of natural selection. A species is present in location due to two reasons, which are those: number one is a species evolved in that location, and second one, the species got dispersed to this location and it could survive there. So this is one of the diagram that regional climate influences the distribution of biological communities. Here the solar radiations varies with latitude. Our earth is a spherical one and it is divided into various parts. In the center, which is marked as a 0 degree, that is the equator. About to this 0 degree equator towards the North Pole, if you'll go, you will see that on 30-degree north, and the interval which is given of the 30-degree, so at upper level towards the North Pole at 60-degree north, if you will see, the various solar radiations varies on various latitudes, those are different. So the radiations of at the equator, the sunlight directly overhead, and at the North Pole and to the South Pole, if you see that angles of radiations means low angles of incoming sunlight, which are found on the northern and southern poles. So this particular, if you see that what doldrum is, what trade winds are, what prevailing winds are, and how this effects which are seen at various locations, various latitudes. Prevailing wind pattern which is shown over here on this globe. In the center means on the equator, doldrum in the center equator, which is called as a doldrum, an area of the calm of very light winds near the equator caused by a rising warm air. Second, that is a trade winds. These are the winds which are moving from one place to another. Their movement of air in the tropics blow from east to west. These winds are called as a trade winds. Next, those are the prevailing winds, major global air movements that result from the combined effects of the rising and falling of air masses and earth rotation is seen. Those are called as a prevailing winds. And last one, that is a, because earth is spherical one, as I had stated you that earth is a spherical one, earth is not a static, it's moving. Its surface moves faster at the equator than at other latitudes. So as a movement of this earth, it prevails the blowing of the winds, and hence the winds are transferable from one place to another. So movement which is being prevailing wind pattern which is shown on this globe. So like this way, these are the various particularity of the components of the biosphere which is given in this video. So thank you very much.